I see individual clients out of my home. I have a wing of my home, and I live out in the country. Occasionally, very rarely, you might be walking down the sidewalk to enter my office and come across a snake. Now, I don't know about you, but when I see a snake in that situation, I tend to jump back, squeal like a little child, and then once I have enough distance, investigate, figure out what to do, and so forth. Interesting thing what's happening in the moment that you see a snake, right? What your mind does, really talking about the limbic system here and the amygdala here, it's going to be doing a rapid search through the cortex, because what it instantly says to you is image received does not equal imagery expected. This is wrong. So it's going to fire off. And what we didn't know 15 years ago, 20 years ago, that we know now, that whole system takes place without you even knowing it. Right? So we've got that snake coming up. We've been startled by the snake. We've jumped back. What happens for the next 3 or 4 days to you? Every stick is a snake. Every garden hose is a snake. Every rustling in the leaves by a squirrel is a snake. You just go like it happened to me the other month, going into the garage, seeing the dog leash laying on the ground caused me to startle. Now, I can laugh at that. It's around the dog leash on the ground scaring me. But what's going on? Because this is the critical piece. If you've been traumatized, if you're sitting in this room, you've been traumatized in a generic kind of way. If you've gotten up to give a talk and panicked and had to leave, if you've had some obsession that you might have caused a problem, go right on down, leaned over an edge somewhere and had a panic reaction. Everybody in this room has had some of that in some way, right? So once you've had that, you've created what we call a fear structure. You now have a place in your brain for what just occurred. How do we recover from that trauma? We want to take that amygdala. The amygdala is your little panic button, your alarm system. It's the one that saves your life if you're driving and you hit ice and start to slip, right? Your conscious mind kind of goes into mush, but your unconscious comes in with that response. We want to take that amygdala and put it in a safe and reasonable facsimile of the traumatic event and do what next? Let it hang out. So after 3 or 4 days, typically when you see a snake, all of that stuff fades, the startle response. Now, what happens initially in those 3 or 4 days is the amygdala is basically saying to you, hey, look, boss, this is on me. I made a mistake here. I gave you a false negative. I told you everything was fine and there is no problem. And then suddenly you came across that snake. And I was not on guard, but I'm on it now. Now, the thing I want you to know, boss, is that from now on for a while, you're going to get a lot of false positives. You're going to think certain things are snakes when they're not. But that's because I'm doing my job, right? So that's the piece that we have to change, is that our amygdala has decided there was a danger, I wasn't ready, I'm now ready. So we're going to work on that piece. Makes totally good sense that the amygdala does that. We have a threatening situation and then we move into a defensive stance. The disorder takes over that experience and runs with it. That's where the shift starts to take place. If you want to take back your life about this stuff, then that's what we're going to pay attention to. That's our job.